Good evening and welcome to the Orleans Hotel and Casino, home of the award-winning National Finals Tonight Show. Brought to you in part by Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, Jim Beam, Maker's Mark, Knob Creek, Basil Hayden's, 14 Hands Wines, Ram Rodeo, Boot Barn, Cinch Jeans, Resist All Hats, Montana Silversmiths, and Boyd Gaming. National Finals tonight with 8-time world champion bull rider Don Gay, 8-time world champion cowboy Joe Beaver, and the men and women of the NFR. Sit back, relax, and enjoy National Finals tonight. And now, here's your host, award-winning television personality, Mr. Dan Miller.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here with us tonight, being here after round number 10. It's good to have you all moved you down the row a little bit there tonight, didn't they, huh? It's good to have all of you here. Thank you for coming, and welcome to all those watching on the Cowboy Channel and RFD. We appreciate that so much. What a national finals rodeo, and I'm stalling because Donnie just went to pee, and I think he's done now, but it takes longer than it used to. Anyway, let's get these guys out here and get this thing started. Lots to talk about tonight, and we're honored to have you here with us. This first man, you know him well, 8-time world champion bull rider, the best ever. Donnie Gay is here. Donnie, come on out here, my friend. He's done now.
Hi, y'all. Are we having fun yet?
Good. Give me
You
that.
just tell everything.
Give me that. Give me that.
What?
That. All right. Yeah, this, he has so many things to do back there, and we'll just save that for later. We'll put that up under there. Donnie, well, let's get Joe out here because there's a couple of stats that I wanted to check, but no, that's all good. All right, let's get this other guy out here, as you know, the 8-time world champion cowboy, Joe Beaver. Joe, come on out here, my friend.
Save me, Joe.
Yo.
Save me.
There's cups.
Here you go.
Throwing those? Throw
Throw
a few,
them out.
Donnie.
They're on you tonight.
I think Donnie just used one of those. Yeah.
Y'all ready?
There's some more, Donnie. Pass them around. There you go. Awesome. Good deal. Welcome, Joe.
What a rodeo.
What a rodeo.
And when his finishes are like they are tonight, that's how you sell tickets.
Unbelievable.
You bet.
Just what a
You bet.
finale. Yeah.
Donnie, while you were occupied, Joe and I were talking about, so Sage now, this is the third person, correct us if we're wrong, but the third person to win 6 world championships in one event. You, now Sage. How many did Dean Oliver win in the calf roping? He 8-time world
He
champion.
won 8 in the calf roping. I don't know how many of those in a row and 3 all-arounds.
But I think I was
Jim
reading
Shoulders,
today. Yeah.
He won. The record that Sage tied today was Jim Shoulders. They're the only 2 that's ever won 6 in a row. In a bull riding.
Yeah, in the,
Yep, in the bull riding.
That's what we said.
And then,
Who's on
yes.
that? Yeah.
And then tonight, Joe, as well, this young man in the tie-down roping, the first to come in here since you in 1985 as a rookie to win a world title.
But he had a haircut.
Yeah, he probably rested more than I did too. But you know,
I know that's true.
He did not have it handed to him either.
No.
That's what was so special about it. You know, I had to win the last round, and he had to win something and win the average. And right before him, Tyson Durfee just really put the pressure on him, and this kid backed off none. And it just shows the future of rodeo with the guys like him and Stetson Wright and Boudreaux Campbell and Clayton Bigelow and yah. It makes it great for us.
And I wanted you to talk just briefly because we got a bunch of highlight packages to show for you and guests to come out here. But Shane Hanchey did what he needed.
Boyd Gaming man right there, Shane Hanchey. I thought he had a chance.
Yes.
You know, you can't always win a world championship on your own. If you falter during the week, you have to have help on the weekend. And he missed a calf during the week, 2 loops, and then he come back and was long on one. So tonight, he had to have some help. He had the help. Shane Hanchey he wound up roping last. He knew what he had to do. But along the way, Ty Harris was 7-3. That bumps Haven Medja down a notch. That helped Shane. Calf comes untied. Then Shane's the last man, 7 flat, wins the round. He wins the world championship. He's 7-1. He splits it. For $1,186, he lost a gold buckle. But you have to go back and say he lost it earlier in the week when he missed that calf, because you can't always depend on your help at the end of the week.
You cannot wait until the last go-round. You can't. You used to couldn't wait until the Cow Palace to qualify for the NFR. Guys have gotten away with it, but it doesn't normally happen. But in my estimation, I mean, you and I both know the gold buckles are, they're special and all that. But if you win one, great. But if you don't win one, that's still really great as well, because he could have just, Shane Hansey could have packed it in, and he didn't do that.
Oh, yeah, and besides that, it was an extra, tonight was an extra 30,000, 35,000. You rodeo all year. If you have a great month, you can win 25,000 a lot of times. So tonight, it's what I reminded a couple of guys tonight. I said, hey, before you get all draggy, and they're down because they're not, I said, tonight's round pays better than a month of rodeoing. So you better get what you can get out of here, because guess what? The new year starts in 3 weeks.
23 days.
It starts in 3 days for the time event guys that aren't qualified for Denver. Luke and those guys are going Wednesday.
Wow.
So, I thought it was a valiant effort. I thought he went at him as hard as he could. We saw some other events fall apart, and you never know till the last one's rode or run, and that's the way it's supposed to be with the money it is.
Yeah, and speaking of the money, don't feel sorry for any of these guys about money. Some of these totals oh my gosh.
And now you know what? That's what it's supposed to be. We see how many in each event over the $100,000 mark. And if they don't win a world championship, the average, they're kind of bummed out. And I always tell them, would you have taken $100,000 before you left the house and been happy? And not one of them has said no. They all say yes. I said, then suck it up and smile for the camera.
Yeah, exactly right. And Joe, before we do these packages, I want you to just talk briefly about Junior, because he, again, finished strong here.
You know what he told me? I think he told me, fourth time, second place. And, he wasn't but, I think, 9,000 behind the world championship, but that's 4 times he's wound up second, and 2 times he's coming in the lead, I know.
Yes.
And he came up tonight and he said, what for I do different? And I said, well, you can only do what you can do because you're the healer. And Caleb had made some mistakes this week. Now, they came back at him, last 3 rounds like a house of fire. But when you don't, and I've said it before, when you don't have a chance to get that average check with the go-around check on the last performance, and you're not in the top 3, you're not going to win a gold buckle.
Well, he also could have taken care of business a little bit better with his thumb, with those stitches in it, and it looked like someone else's thumb.
Yeah.
And you're the one that told him he needed to go to the doctor, and they immediately look at it and put him on antibiotics, and then he looked like Junior tonight.
Well, and I'll tell you something else. I think he was the one, when you've been that close, and Donnie and I are lucky. We weren't second a lot close like that. But when you've been second that many times, I think early in the week he was roping good, but he was a little, he was a little scared of his hand or whatever, but it didn't bother. But he thought, and he was right. If I don't mess up on my end, that means you're throwing me the ball and I'm not going to drop the pass in the end zone. We're going to win. But when your quarterback fumbles 2 times, or drops the ball, or breaks a barrier and misses, and then loses his rope. Nothing against Driggers, because he wants a gold buckle bad. But then, as a receiver, he went to running around trying to get open. He went to throwing every time like Junior does, and he was just healing them down. I mean, just like tonight, Chase Trine, if Chase Trine ropes 2 feet, he wins the world championship. He had the same look as Junior. The steer let off. Steer didn't want to take it. They both got by, but Junior roped 2 feet, and Chase slipped a leg. It can happen that fast.
Some scary heel loops tonight. Kyle Lockett.
Man.
Oh, my gosh, did he come around.
I said on TV, if you're a number 7 healer, don't try that at home. You'll cut your arm off at the elbow.
Yeah, just unbelievable. As I mentioned, we've got a lot of video packages, kind of to put everything in order.
This was a big night, though.
A big night tonight.
Big night.
So what we're going to...
Just great night, and it just doesn't get any better than Saturday night in Las Vegas, Nevada, when we got a bunch of great cowboys and great livestock.
Yep, that's right.
So we're going to start off with this rodeo tonight. Round 10, Donnie, starting with the bareback riding. The winners of round 10. Let's do that first.
Bareback riding, I mean, it looks like instant replay a lot. Clayton Bigelow, this guy's got a horse called Stevie Nicks, a rock and roll singer, and this little horse just showing it off, and it fits his style perfectly. Northcott owns the horse, a Canadian contractor, but the mark out sets it up. He holds him right there, gets a great start, He is in perfect timing with this horse. Got her picked up. Everything looks so good. Clayton Bigelow, 93 points.
93
Dakota
points.
Eldridge had a kind of a slow week this week, but today he changed horses. Got off of his old trusty Rusty, and he needed a little bit of spark to change it up. 3.5 seconds later, and he was my Tattoo League guy, so I was cheering like heck. All right, here we go. Look at the head catch. He gets a tight head catch. Clayton has his horse, brings the head back towards the chute. When that back end is clearing the ground, Dakota's going to wipe him out. He did in 3.5. Here we go, my boy, Junior and Driggers right here. Watch Driggers get it on this steer. Steer checks off, drops his head, doesn't hop. Junior just, if he doesn't throw at that instant, Driggers is in the second row of the gold buckle seats trying to face. But Junior does his job. Watch right about here. If Junior doesn't throw, that horse runs right through the Wrangler sign. Look at that shot. Around the head, 15 foot out there, pulls back. At least I got a lot of money this week.
Classic event right here, and it did not disappoint. Great set of broncs this year at the National Finals. Womanizer. This is a Mike Servey bucking horse, and Brody Cress.
How about Brody Cress?
Has just done phenomenal. 91 points on this horse. He won his hometown rodeo, the Cheyenne Frontier Days, the last 2 years in a row. He rides. He placed in 9 of 10
and
rounds.
rode 10.
Got a check in 9 of 10 rounds. I don't know that I ever.
He was also
heard of
my
that.
tattoo guy, so I was happy. All right, Adam Gray, he's had more chances this week to win rounds, and it just hasn't worked. But for $20,000, he's 7.1. Now, he's what you call a spoiler in the last round for the World Championship. And by that, I mean he is 7.1. He's like old meat sitting outside for Shane Henchy, because Shane Henchy comes back and he just blows it out, gets it on him, trying to win a World Championship, catches him in the air, got him flank strung, Rap Mahui, and he needed to be 7 flat. So the spoiler cost him the World Championship, but Henchy went at him as hard as he could, made a great run, had a good week, won $125,000, but you know, $1,200 from a gold buckle.
A little bit disappointed, but that right there shows you he's world champion caliber.
Yes. And the last girl out on the ground tonight was Lisa Lockhart, and she's back on her black horse. Turns the first bell, you think, well, this is looking okay. Slices the second. This horse doesn't look like he clocks. Cuts in on the third, but watch this. This horse runs home. Look at that, how he gets faster going home. 13.71, first place for Lisa.
Bull riding was just spectacular this year. Jordan Hansen, Canadian bull rider, won a little bit early. Buckdown got hurt in the middle of the week. Does he look hurt right here? He's riding Hellhound, 88.5 points, 4-star bucking bull. This guy right here, Jordan Hansen, he reminds me a little bit about like Freckles Brown. He knees up. You see how he's got his legs pulled up in there, controls his butt. Everything looks good. He's looking at him, doesn't let his head come up with that helmet, spurs him a little bit. Money chops at the end. Good day money to win round 10.
You know what we talk about, though, too, so special to me about Brody Cress? We talk about guys having great finals, and last year, terrible finals. But what we don't say enough of, I don't think, it's just like this year with J.J. Elsher, you know, or Casey Field coming back being hurt. Brody Cress was hurt here last year. He rode terrible. He didn't win anything. Right. But when you're hurt and you're trying to beat the best 14 in the world, it's next to impossible. And it's nothing easy about the bronc riding in the chute, in the chute or out of the chute. But what is so special to me and what we need to say more of, yes, that guy had a great national finals 2 years ago, like he did this year. Not that good, but great. But last year, people, he was hurt. You know, you give your hat off to him for coming riding hurt, but it's even more special to me when you've been hurt and you come back and show them what you do when you're healthy. Brody Cress is a champ in my eyes.
Nobody talks about him. You know, he's the last guy on the media's interview list because he had such a terrible time last year and coming back.
They forget there was a reason.
Yes. And it's amazing, and you're absolutely right. Perseverance in this business means a lot.
10 out of 10 for him. And you're talking about JJ. He could barely walk out of the arena.
Oh, man.
It hurt
on the
just to
fourth
watch
round.
him. Yes.
The fourth round, when, you know, you could tell it was just, and you know what? That's when, you know, it's a business decision too. You know, do you let the 16th guy go and split? You know, or do you go and try to compete and make it? I've seen guys, and myself included, you know, I had knee surgery one year, November the 9th. And I came here and wrote. Stupidest thing I ever did in my life. I didn't hardly win anything. I stayed hurt for another month and a half. You know, I've seen a bulldogger do it, 2 more calf ropers, you know, couple. But it's that drive and strive. and it may be his last trip to the finals. He's 40 years old. You know,
never know.
You never know.
Yeah, it was painful to watch him. All right, now we talked about, let's go to our next package here, the average winners here. And we couldn't do any of these beforehand because everything was
still open,
still up in the air. So
yep.
Travis got this put together for you. This is the 2019 average winners. And again, Donnie, no surprise in the bareback riding.
Well, Clayton Bigelow came here. You know, we played golf, and I saw his dad the other day. His dad's going to have a hip surgery, but, you know, he's just so proud of Clayton. He is riding so well. You know, he set the arena record, I think, and won a go-round on my dad's horse a couple of nights ago, and he done it again. He's just riding so good. To win the average is a big deal.
44-year-old Matt Reeves right here. His good horse was sick the first of the week. When she got the okay from the vet, sent a trailer from Texas with her out here, it paid off. He wins the average in the steer race and wins $100,000. Cody Snow and Wesley Thorpe. Looked like Cody Snow might even have a chance to win the championship. This is an outstanding head horse. He just let his partner, his healer, win the world championship if they can win the average. And look at this. You think that kid's scared at the back end? He turns in there, takes a day money shot. They're 4-4. That wins him the average at the national finals.
In saddle bronc riding, we've talking about him, Brody Cress, making another great ride, placing on 9 out of 10 bucking horses.
9 out of 10.
That is unbelievable to me. For him to do that, especially coming off of maybe his worst performance ever. And he just got to be thrilled to death.
Haven Medjed, first trip to the national finals, was in about 3/10 separated he and Tyson Durfee. Tyson Durfee went first. He was 7-9. How does Haven answer? He ties his calf in 8 flat, places in the round, wins his average at the first national finals, and wins a world championship. That right there is a career booster. We had Ivy on the show
last night.
She was so smart tonight. Watch her go in there. 2-hand, get J-Lo by the barrel. If she doesn't knock a barrel down, she knows she's looking at $70,000. Oh, gets plenty of room at the second. Watch his third barrel. Kicks her one more time, sends her by. Knows she's not going to hit it, but still places in the go-around and wins the average by herself. Great job of riding this week on a great horse.
Absolutely. And Sage Kimzey, I'm going to tell you, 88 points tonight in the bull riding. Wins the average, wins his 6th bull riding championship in a row. This bull went both ways. This is vintage Sage Kimzey. He comes on the show last night after bucking off, you know, and it didn't feel real good. Already had it cinched, but he still made the whistle, wins the day money. I mean, he put the hammer on everybody.
Yeah.
$67,000 to win that average, and that's pretty good chunk of change.
Plus $26,000 for the day money, so it was a nice Saturday evening.
Yeah, pretty darn good out there.
Wesley Thorpe, same way, $190,000, $93,000, one run. One run.
Yes.
So never mind.
Yeah.
Joe, I was going to ask you, you mentioned Dakota and talked about Matt. When you're struggling, why not change horses earlier?
Hey, you can't, me and you the same way. I'd tie mine up in a minute. I mean, if I wasn't winning, I'd change ropes, horses, underwear, hotels, whatever it took, because I hated to get beat.
The purple ones?
Yeah, the purple ones too.
Wow.
I'd wear purple inside out if I had to win. But, you know, we saw Will Loomis earlier in the week, and I thought he should have changed a couple nights early. Rusty with Dakota's got such a resume. Dakota Eldridge has ridden Rusty since he was in high school. Wow. Then he rode him into circuit finals, and he team roped on him. You know, so I think he was just thinking things are going to come back. Rusty's 21 or 2 years old. You know, he kind of gave up the run this week, and the minute he changed was worth $26,700, $27,000. So, you know, I always said change something if you need to, and some guys I think just want to stick to their plan too much.
Yeah, I agree. We would think back a few years ago, Rod Lyman wouldn't change.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, and you see it every year. I mean, I saw it in the tie-down roping this week. You know, I saw 2 or 3 guys.
I tried to change a couple of my bull draws, but the judges wouldn't let me.
No kidding.
See, if you'd have been nicer, they might have helped you.
That ain't going to happen. All right, let's, now we've covered tonight and we've covered the average. We've got world champions. And I want to say to Jackie and Boyd Gaming how great it is to see her out there handing out those saddles.
You know, we had 2 women, you know, handing out saddles and buckles. That's never happened before. Never, ever.
Yeah, Boyd
That's because Boyd Gaming does a whole lot for that rodeo over there.
Their commitment to this rodeo is unbelievable.
Yes.
World champions, guys. We put together this reel as well so we can take a look. No surprise. This is their best run or ride of the rodeo. So let's start off with Clayton, of course.
Clayton, you're gonna watch him on riding Stevie Nicks, this little bucking horse right here. But I don't get tired of watching near perfection, and especially just simply because I know how difficult this event is. That rigging is hard, and I mean, he is getting the wax knocked out of his ear, but what a great ride for a good world champion.
Yes.
Ty Erickson thought the first of the week he had dropped the ball again. He came in the lead for the third time. He closed the door on him the other night when Wags missed that steer, was 3-6, won the go-around, his first world championship. Maybe turned his whole career over. In the team roping, Clay Smith. It was a split championship this year.
Yes.
Clay Smith wins the world championship. He nails the barrier. The gray horse is perfect. He throws. Jade gets this one right there in the switch. He didn't get one. Last night, a leg cost him down the average, cost Jade his world championship buckle. Clay got one. Wesley Thorpe, this kid has roped unbelievable this week. He measures his steer off, first top, gets him right there. They're 3.6 seconds, and he wins his first world championship because of loops like that. No fear at all.
How about Zeke Thurston, Don?
Zeke Thurston, this is his second world championship.
Yes.
You know, we talk about the Wright family and the bronc riding all the time. Zeke's already won one world title, but he's got to come back. He's got to do it again, get smart. 92.5. This is in round number 7, but this is where the rubber meets the road. He never quits trying to get to the front end and just made a great ride. You know, won the go-around and the world championship buckle.
Tonight, Haven Medjid, when he left the back of the box, I thought he run through the barrier. The old saying in the timed events, if you leave and you know you're out, you're late. So when he left there tonight, he had one thing on his mind, and that was a world championship, and he got it because he took the chances. Haley Kinsel, I'm sorry, but this yellow mare gets in this building. She gets better as the week goes along. She is not going to give it up. She won a ton of money this week. This horse works in this building. She runs hard. She knows where she's at. She kind of wanted to slice in, but watch. This is what I say. When they leave the third barrel, this mare gasses them home. She got her second world championship this week on a great horse.
All right, Sage Kimzey notching world title number 6. Now, this is round number 8. This is riding Bruiser. This is a bucking bull of the year, 94 points. $480,000 is what Sage Kimzey banks for his 6th world championship. This bull tried to buck him off, but you know what? His greatest day ever, he said, but that's just so far.
You know, I would venture to say, how much has he got won in 6 years? He's close to $3 million, isn't he?
Yeah.
Now, if you want to talk about dominating an event and dominating your chosen field, that's what Sage Kimzey's done the bull riding.
Nobody's really challenged and come close, but I think Stetson Wright may have dropped a calling card on his doorstep.
Campbell, too.
Boudreaux
My
Campbell.
boy Boudreaux,
There's
too.
some young guys that all of a sudden, they're going,
what did Rusty Wright say the other night?
We can do this.
I told Rusty Wright about, the windshield and the rearview mirror. He's looking at you. He said, he ain't going to be looking at me for long through that. I'm going in front. Who's thought of that? It's like the all-around challenge in Trevor. Nobody challenged him because they thought it was already done.
In over 20 years, we have a rough stock all-around champion.
Bet.
Pretty darn nice. Donnie, what I wanted to have you comment on, Sage came out on our first night this year. He always wins a championship the last 6 years, so we don't get to see him till a year later. But what he talked about the first night, that when he left here last year, his spirit was broken. He'd just talk about he was done.
Mentally and physically.
Yes.
You know, he was a wreck, but nobody noticed it because he covers it up. He's matured. This guy is a consummate professional. And, he was beat up to the point where he just wanted to stay in Salado, Texas, and get well.
Said he didn't even want to see a bull. He didn't even want to see one.
It had become no fun.
It become a job.
Every time he turns around, are you going to break Donnie's record? Yep. How tired
he can walk in dragging a leg, and that's what they ask him. Not, hey, how are you doing? Are you hurt? Are you okay? They don't even say that. They just throw that record deal at him. Yeah.
And he handles it so well, and I think that's one of the reasons I gravitate toward what he's doing, because I can remember the toughest thing about him riding that bull the other night, Bruiser, You know, he's a world champion bucking bull, then the PBR, and of course that's kind of like the old NFL, AFL. So it's still a little angst is out there. Well, the hard part is all of this mental hogwash that you cannot block out, and he has to come in there. He and Stetson both. You know, this was Battle of the Titans and all the media and all of that stuff, and they both, Sage and Stetson both, blocked that out. And not only do they make the whistle on these bulls that most people just can't ride, and they don't ride him very often, they strap on a 94 and a 93-point ride back to back. You know, I mean, it's just awesome. These guys are tough.
And Donnie, you mentioned that. Here is Stetson. This is 93.5. This is your all-around winner, but let's just take a
on the rough stock end, we got an all-around champion.
You know why I'm good
again.
about it?
Yeah.
The first rookie ever to win an all-around championship, people. The first.
And this bull's got him bucked off, but he absolutely refuses to let go. But he wasn't hanging off the side. He was going at him. I mean, he was getting him some boots and spurs. And when he finally gets that stinking helmet off, you're going to see a kid that's got a smile
can see.
that wide.
Unbelievable.
You know what I think is so special about his all-around win and Haven's win is what Donnie just hit on. There's so much else out here, and those are both rookies. That's the first time they've been here. They don't know what they're getting into till you get here. And when they get bombarded, the last 3 nights, all they've talked about is Stetson gonna be able to pull the all-around off the all. You know, he's got a bull ride a bull. He didn't all this others, and all they've been saying to Haven is, can that rookie stay hooked? He's got Tough on him. He's got Tyson on him. He's got Shane on him. You know, and for those two to block that out and mentally be as perfect as they could be at the end and win. That's what gets my respect for those kids. The try's there, but that gets it right there.
Awesome stuff. Well, did you happen to see those bullfighters working there in Stetson's ride? Did you see that? These guys,
Heck no. They work. I never looked for them. You know, I was almost as afraid of getting stepped on by a bullfighter as I was the bull.
Well, the whole family.
These guys are like little Ninja Turtles, and you know that.
They're all here. Dusty Tuckness, Cody Webster, Evan Allard, John Harrison. They're all here. Joe, come on over here with Donnie and I. Come on in, guys. Welcome.
John.
All right.
Hello, Webster. I'm sure glad you made it. I'm kind of worried about you there. We made it.
Okay, so.
Go ahead.
Boy, these two guys rode in a cab drive.
The bareback riders caught us.
There you go. There you go. Hey, Dusty, is that why you didn't go with them?
It's a good thing that we're done with 10 rounds of fighting bulls.
Let me help you.
Y'all, it's his first.
Hey, Webster.
It's his first national finals rodeo.
You knew it was coming.
Don't do that to my buddy again.
You should have been ready for that. You knew they were after you.
Turn the microphone around, Evan.
Oh, that is wrong.
Sorry, buddy.
Donnie, take that one there.
You went down.
Like the Titanic.
Oh, man, that was
I'm
good.
not even going to tell you what the cab driver was doing, trying to bring them two over here.
Let's just start right down the line here. Thank you guys for coming tonight. Thanks. We appreciate all of you being here tonight. Dusty, let's just start right here with this gentleman from Meeteetse, Wyoming, the 10-time bullfighter of the year right here. Give him a hand. Dusty Tuckness is here. And Dusty, it's, just every year it just comes up and you're the guy. And I heard, so we have a Wyoming breakfast here on the first Friday morning, and Dusty always leads says grace before the meal, and just an outstanding guy. And he and I were talking, he's heading snow skiing as soon as he was here. Your dog didn't ask me. But anyhow, let's, 10 times, if you can put that into perspective, and then we'll start moving down. First of all, Donnie, we talked about this the other night with Joe. Who all votes on this?
So the end of the season is the end of September, and then the next 2 weeks in October, the top 20 bull riders in the world, there's 2 rounds of voting. So the first round, that first full week, is they vote on all the eligible bullfighters, as well as on the barrelman side of things. The barrelman and eligible bullfighters and the eligible announcers vote on the barrelman. And then the next week, we're notified Friday evening of that first week on who made the short list. So there's top 5 in the bullfighter category and top 2, or is it 4? 5 in the barrelman category, and then we call it the short list, and then they vote on that the next week, and it's kind of a long, drawn-out 14 days, and then it's really long that second Friday, but, you know, we're just thankful and blessed to have the opportunity to come back.
Has anybody else won the Bullfighter of the Year 10 times in a row? I mean, forgive my ignorance.
No, we were just talking
Joe
about that.
Joe just asked me, and I looked at him like a
man.
cat out of new gate. I went, I don't think so, but I don't know that. You know, Wickpeth comes to mind, but I don't know that they had some of these things then. But, you know, because that's been a long time ago, but I know Rob Smets didn't do it. But 10 times in a row to put yourself out there in the kind of condition you have to be in, and you don't get voted the Bullfighter of the Year if you're staying home because you've been 9 times of the year. You get voted 10 times because you're on the trail and you're working as hard at Cody, Wyoming, or any other rodeo as you do at the national finals. And I'm just telling you, I hope everybody is realizing the significance of this guy has put himself in front of more bulls just to let the cowboy have a chance to get 2 steps away from maybe getting killed, or at least, at the very least, ruining his career. And man, my hat's off to you, because that's an awesome, the physical and mental condition you got to be in, got to be something.
Yeah, we're awfully proud of him. Dusty, what I'm going to do is go down the line and we'll talk about everybody briefly, then we'll take a look at you guys at work. John, I could see you down there making that belt buckle show down there while we were getting ready. Now, Donnie, do you know the deal about his belt buckle?
No.
About John Harrison? Look at now this story.
Stand up,
and
John.
I'm
Let's show
glad that
everybody.
Donnie
Stand up.
doesn't know this story because it's fascinating. John, tell him whose buckle this is and the story behind that for Donnie.
So this buckle here was given me by my grandmother. After my grandfather passed away. This is my grandfather's NFR average buckle from 1967 when he rode Tornado, Freckles Brown. And so that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so I do know the story.
Yeah.
I do know the story.
Surely you weren't around back then.
I was watching.
Well, you always bringing up the round paid $180. I thought you might have been around then.
No, but you know, that is something special. Of course, I've known John since he got into the rodeo business, and you know, Freckles was just one of the nicest world champion cowboys ever on the planet of the earth. I mean, he had the best attitude when he was, you know, over 40 years old, and then when he was over 50 years old, when he was 53 years old, he and I were driving from Hartford, Connecticut, back to Veneta, Oklahoma. And, you know,
Hometown.
I know where that's at.
yeah, and it's a long way. And Freckles decided to stop riding bulls, and that was in August of, I believe, 1973, I think. But my memory's a little shaky at times. But he quit riding bulls at 53 years old. He was in the top 10 in August to go to the NFR, and he quit because he didn't want to get one of you 3 guys hurt, because he was getting to where it seemed like it was forever for him to get up off the ground. How many of you old guys have jumped off the tailgate of your truck lately?
Donnie, tell the story though, Donnie. Tell the story, because you were there when it was an emotional time.
I was in
the
the car.
Yeah.
And we were driving and all night long, overnight, and we had gone from Albuquerque, of which Freckles was winning. We went to Albuquerque to, this is why I got my pilot's license, Albuquerque to St. Paul, Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota to Hartford, Connecticut. In Hartford, Connecticut, we were going back to Abilene, Kansas. We were going to drop Freckles off at Veneta at the truck stop because Edith was going to pick him up. And we're driving along, and I wake up, the car stopped, we're on the side of the road, and I thought, oh, crap, we've run out of gas or something. And I look out, and Freckles is leaning against the hood of the car and, you know, just kind of sitting there. And I got out, and I said, hey, Freck, I said, what's up? You want me to drive? And he said, yeah. He said, I think it's probably your turn. And I said, okay. So, you know, and I noticed he had been kind of teared up, been crying. And I said, "What?" I said, "What's the matter?" And he said, he won third at Hartford, Connecticut. Whistle blew. He got off. Whenever he got off, he fell down, and this bull was fixing to drill him. And the bullfighter would have been like John Harrison. He just tackled the bull, just grabbed him. And this bull hooked him out of his britches. But Freckles, got up. And it wasn't that big a deal. It wasn't like he stayed down on the ground for an hour. I didn't think anything about it. The bullfighter got hooked, and that's what they get paid for at times, So,
Thanks, Donnie.
if they decide to, if they like you anyway, and they love Freckles Brown, he wasn't going to get hooked by this bull. I can promise you that. But he said, "I got to quit." And I said, "Quit what?" And he said, "I got to quit riding." He said, "I'm going to get one of these kids hurt." And I said, "You got to be kidding." I said, "You're in the top 10. You're ahead of me. I'm trying to make the finals my second year on the trail." He just said, he said, "I got to quit." And he went home and quit. That's what kind of conviction he had. But guys, he was 53 years old. He's in the top 10. He rode R10. He rode R10 at Albuquerque. One of the that would have fit right in when I said Sage's ride on Bruiser the other night was in one of those conversations where you say, let's talk about all the great rides you remember at the national finals. So Sage comes in, that'll go in there. Me on Red One, that'll go in there. Well, Freckles Brown riding R10 at Albuquerque at 53 years old, that's better than all of them. So it's just kind of a fun deal, but you got a lot of history in this business, Bubba.
That story talking about the bullfighters getting hooked. So my grandfather, they say he'd get bucked off there toward the end and just kind of lay there like a turtle and couldn't get away. So we just built a house, and we built a museum inside the house, and we have all of my grandfather's memorabilia. We was going through, he's got these record books, and you flip them over, and it'll talk about entry fees, show what he's won. Then it'll show a bottle of whiskey, $15. It'll say, "To the bullfighter for save." So he started buying all these bullfighters, and I swear, like every time you turn the page, just another bottle of whiskey, another bottle of whiskey. So then as a specialty act, a clown, we have to depend on the bullfighters. And I was like, what can I do to pay these guys for helping me on my act? And we own a liquor store, which really comes in handy. And so that's what I give these guys. And he don't even drink, but he's got enough. When he gets married one day, you got enough whiskey for the wedding, I guarantee you.
The only problem is it's the little bottles.
Well,
I'm tight.
I'm sitting there, and you're talking about every time there's a save, the bullfighter gets a bottle of whiskey, and I see Evan going, "Really? It's my first time to NFR, but this is looking good now."
He's talking about Evan Ellery right next to him from Oklahoma.
From Veneta,
From
Oklahoma.
Veneta, right there
Yeah.
at Freckles' hometown. First time here for this young man to be here, and just put that into words for us, will you?
Well, we don't have that much time, but the thing that's really, really cool about this is the two guys that I'm getting to work it with, and me and Dusty was just talking about that, and I know me and Cody's talked about it earlier in the week, but the two guys that I'm getting to work the greatest rodeo with is the two guys that signed for my PRCA card here 4 or 5 years ago. So
Pretty cool.
it's a really cool deal.
Pretty cool. Now, Donnie, what you may not know about Evan, maybe you do, that he's a pilot. Did you know that?
I did know that.
And
yeah, Robbie Hodges wants to learn how to fly, and he wants to go steady with Evan.
Yeah, he's wanting to fly my and me and Donnie had talked about this. One thing me and Donnie have in common, and I'm quoting you because you told me this at Fort Worth, but the best grade that we've ever turned in was on our written pilot test. So
very good.
That 75 was, and I think yours was 85.
No, not on my
commercial pilot test.
My private was 70. My instrument was 71. That's where you're flying in the clouds and you can't see anything.
Right.
But I actually got a little tutoring for my commercial, and I made an 85 on that test, and I was sweating it, and my dad says, and my dad's 93, and he said, "What'd you make on that commercial flying test you had to take?" And I said, 85, and he said, "Dang," he said, "I hadn't heard you bring in a score like that from school other than riding bulls."
Yeah. If anybody wants a ride.
So, Evan, you're a crop duster.
That's right.
How many months out of the year are you doing that?
It's all the time.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, no, well,
Any of you ever ridden with him when he does that? Anyone?
It's a single-seater, but I would love to get one of them in there. Yeah. Webb's got a couple pictures. But anyway, so yeah, from up around Veneta, Oklahoma, like middle of April to middle to the end of September is kind of the big season. And this was actually my first year in business for myself. You know, I'm 30 years old now, which not all that old, but I know I've got 4 or 5 good years fighting bulls left. And then I'm 35, 36 years old, and I've got 60 years of life left. And
yeah, you can get in a crop duster, fill that sucker full of, toxic chemicals and fly underneath highline wires and telephone poles and stuff. Oh,
Donnie, let me tell you.
That's going to cut down on that 60 years you just said.
I mean, hey.
He come to the house to spray for me, and I promise you, I had a guy there building a pond for me, and he didn't miss that track hoe by about this much. Now, he says I was crazy, but this is the gospel truth.
Well, the problem is he sends me a picture while I'm flying, said, you barely missed the track hoe. And I said, if you'd leave me alone, I could pay attention to what I'm doing.
The guy you're sitting next to down there is Cody Webster. This 7 times for
Yes,
the
sir.
NFR for you. 6 times you worked the PBR World Finals, I think.
Yes,
and give Cody a hand down here. He's. But Cody, you're my hero. I tell you, this summer up in Cody, his wife and Tally and I and dogs and everything else, I took him for a hike up in the mountains outside of. This guy has monetized this bull fighting, and I think you have 80,000 Twitter followers or something. Tell me about
120 on Instagram.
120,000.
Do you know what monetized means?
It's good.
He
Trust me.
knows. He knows. Yeah. He's got his sweet wife out there with the camera. He knows.
You got 120,000 followers on Twitter?
Instagram.
Instagram.
That's my jam.
Is that where you're dropping candy along, and you're going, come on, girls?
Donnie, let's not get started there, okay?
That's why Donnie has 120, not 1,000. He's got 120.
It is. It's mind-blowing how big this deal's gotten for me.
How did it start, Cody? Did you...
It basically was just being able to be talented and blessed enough to be able to fight bulls and get the opportunities that I've had. But, Dale Brisby, I don't know if you know him or not, but he's one of my really great friends, and he's really spurred me on to step outside my comfort zone and do some stuff that I probably never would have done.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you that the thing that is the biggest thing for me is going up and down the road, and it's caused me a bunch of chaos. There's people that think that the bright lights went to my head or whatever the case is.
Yep.
But to be out in the middle of a public crowd and have people come up and say, hey, man, I just want to say thanks. My 6-year-old kid watches your YouTube channel, and they really, really enjoy what you do. And, rodeo and bull riding has given me and my wife everything that we've got, from, all our cows to our ranch to be able to make a living every year, Yeah. And if I can reach in and give a little kid a little bit of what I got, and that might change his life, I think we're all doing better.
Yeah.
Well, that ain't the only way. I got a kid that I sponsor at home that wanted to fight bulls. I don't know nothing about fighting no bulls. I sure wasn't going to call Donnie, So
we're just running from him, ain't we?
that's where I sent him. I sent him to Webster, and this kid's got a career started because of, and I do it all the time. I know what it is about kids and stuff. And we're in a business of take. We take all the time. You got to give back somehow. And if you start at his age and you start giving back and taking care of kids any way you can, you're going to better the future of rodeo, the future of bullfighters or whatever. My kid now is getting jobs and getting bullfights and stuff, but it's because I sent him to what I knew, somebody that knew what they were doing that actually cared.
Did y'all go out to the bullfights that's been going on all week?
Yeah, I went out 4 or 5 different times to the matches, and the biggest thing that I love about it is, growing up as a kid, that was one thing that I had a desire to try to go to be a world champion freestyle bullfighter. And when all of us, I guess, got to be about the age where we could get our PRSA card, the tour died. A guy by the name of Rex Dunn pretty much kept the sport alive, and then from there, the bullfighting freestyle world is back, and there's a bunch of different associations. And for me, I love it because now there's talented young kids that can go out and make a good living freestyling fighting bulls and be considered as true athletes. The kid that won the Las Vegas championships is a young kid, Chance Mormon, and then the world champion was Aaron Mercer. He was dominant all year. The guy put in a lot of hard work. He actually come to my house for about 2 weeks and try to prep for this event, and I really tried breaking him, and he showed up, showed out, and the guy was dominant and going to be dominant for a while.
Yeah. You can't imagine how hard that must have been whenever he tried to break him. Yick.
Yeah. He does one in Cody, and very successful up there, and has put on that with Cannon AC. They've got several events up there. Just real quickly before we're out of time here, Dusty, I had mentioned to you earlier, it's tough for us back there in the video editing because now the feed that we're getting, they follow the bull rider. And so your great work, we hear about it, but we don't get to see it much. So I know each of you took a shot this last 10 days, but I put a clip of just 3 of you guys, 3 instances with you guys at work. I think the first one's with Jordan, and then Colby, and I think Josh, we've got one. But if you can talk about it, let's just run them kind of slow back there, Colin. Let's take a look.
Jordan Hansen coming down.
He
He's
hung up with the Brazilian
into
rope.
His hand.
This is a Brazilian rope, which is
backwards.
It's backwards. Everything's upside down and far on the side. It's one of them deals that we're having to really re-educate ourselves. If a guy hangs up with an American rope, we can read it. We can have you unhung before your feet hit the ground. A Brazilian rope, it's a blind shot.
Explain that. Explain that, Cody.
Like a Brazilian rope.
Sage rides with that. So if he wins, let's just say he wins maybe one more world title, I may relax a little bit and just call it different instead of backwards. But
tell us what you're talking about, because I heard my boy Kobe talking about this.
Yeah, with an American rope, you're going to go away from your hand and hang up, so your body weight's away from your bull rope. So you're kind of in the center of the bull's back, and it's a lot easier to get to. With the Brazilian rope, as you can see there, it's down on the side, and we have to go in on the same side as the bull rider, which is opposite with American rope.
And they
because
get
you can't
knocked
get to
down, because that bull rider's legs is flopping around, and upside down into your hand, you have no control. Whenever you
And your
hang up,
belly
the
up.
bull rider trains himself to get up off of the ground. Don't be hanging down there. You got to stand up, get up closer to that bull's horns where y'all can come in to get to the rope.
And it's hard to read because, like Webb said, when a guy pulls what we call an American bull rope, and some of you guys have probably heard when they take their wrap and they put the rope back through their pinky, and we call it a pinky wrap. That's what you would do with an American rope as opposed to a Brazilian rope. It's going to come
Opposite
back
backwards.
between your thumb and your forefinger. But in an American rope, when we walk up and we watch the guy take his wrap, I always tell myself, okay, American rope or Brazilian rope. And when it's an American rope, I can tell usually 2 jumps before. It's like there's a good chance for a hang up. He comes off away from his hand, and we can set up instead of to step in the gap and make a save. We can set up to work this hang up. And in this particular instance, I had in my mind, okay, it's a Brazilian bull rope, and then he hangs up. I'm setting up to make a save as opposed to get to this bull's back and work a hang up, and it kind of throws your whole rhythm off.
It's a blind shot.
Yeah.
It throws your whole rhythm off. So
Go ahead, Dusty. This is Colby, I think, here.
Yeah, this is Colby Radley here, and this was a hard deal because this kind of put him out of competition right there for the last 3 nights. Gave him a concussion, stepped on his neck and back. At this point right here, how he come off, and I noticed that he got stepped on, and when I stepped in there, I noticed that bull was just to the left of Colby, so I'm going to try to keep him to the left as much as I can. I was wanting to try to bring him to Webb. You can see Webb right here on my left. I'm trying to pull him back over to Webb, and once I realized Colby was still down, I just basically tried laying on him, and Webster
Took
right
him by
there.
the head.
That's
And then-
taking the bull by the horns, folks. That's not a cliche.
Those deals right there are tough though because this would have been in and out smooth as any bull rider getting bucked off, but that getting stepped on, that's
stunned.
the worst thing. Getting hooked, getting run over, that stuff's going to happen. But when you get stepped on, these bulls are 1,500 to 2,800 or 2,000 pound animals, and when they push off, especially in the particular area like that, it's a tough thing to see. And I hate it for a guy like Colby because he was having his best NFR thus far. He rode one of the reigning Bucking Bulls of the Year for 92 points, and but you're going to see this guy for a long time.
We've got one more. We've got, let's finish this one out. That's good. Great work, guys. And then we have Josh here. So let's take a look here.
Color coordinated, comes down into his hand.
There's a Brazilian rope that he almost hung
and
in.
it hangs, and that keeps the bull rider from being able to get some separation from that bull.
So just back up real quick on the Brazilian rope apart. What Evan and Webb were talking about is it's kind of a development deal where we've got to learn over the years, but we're starting to realize that, like Josh Frost, Jordan Hansen, some of these guys, Sage not so much, but there's certain guys that ride with the Brazilian that are more likely to hang up. You're not going to hang up very much with the Brazilian rope, but there's certain guys that we got our eyes on. And so this particular deal here, Josh, he comes off into his hand. This is Jive Turkey of Bridwell Pro Rodeo. He bucks good. He's mean. He comes off in a bad spot. But the biggest thing that I love about this trio and this blender we call is we see what's happening. We move in. I got the first shot right here. But as soon as this bull's hit me, see what Webb does. He's right there, gets a hold of him, see where Evan is with the follow through, and we just keep rolling that bull to get him out. So for me, when I got guys like these two backing me, it makes my job really easy because when I mess up, they're going to clean it up.
Teamwork at its finest right there.
That's teamwork.
That is best.
So let me ask this question, then, and Donnie, you can probably, is there an advantage to the Brazilian rope, Donnie? I don't understand.
There's an advantage of getting stomped, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's all a question of feel, and it goes back. I keep saying it, but it's which girl's the prettiest. It depends on who's looking. So if it feels good to you, hey, why not? But Jim Shoulders said it best, and it's worked back then all the way to forever. If you can ride with a dadgum piggin string. And it really doesn't matter. Now you might be able to ride a little better with a good bull rope, because I remember when Jim was telling me that, I was in a real slump. And I just started Gaze Sales and Distributing. I was manufacturing bull ropes and good equipment.
Say that again.
Gaze Sales and Distributing.
All right, I just wanted to make sure.
It was a rodeo equipment company. Because I wasn't riding good enough to ride with two bull ropes, let alone a piggin string, so I started my own damn company to get some ropes that I could ride with. But but seriously, the American bull rope is well, until somebody wins 9, it works pretty good.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. What I want to do is have you guys stay right there. Bob, are you here? Bob, because I want to get this resolved before just stay where you are at. Bob, if you're over there, come up. Wherever you're at, come up.
Bobby T.
In the bathroom where Donnie was.
Oh, all right.
I'll be there. I'll be there in one
I
flush.
left paper.
Where's he at?
Save that sample. Come on out here, Bob. This
like
is
a phantom.
He didn't leave his sample, and the doctors are calling.
Yeah. Come on.
The doctors are calling.
Have a seat right there.
Did he close that little window?
No. Just sit.
I'll stand behind him because he's short. I can see over
what
the
I
top.
want to do before you start selling stuff here, what I want to do, the Tattoo League.
I was third from the bottom, so I don't know. Did I stay ahead of you?
I'm getting it.
Yes, thank gosh.
I was third.
I was scared.
I was third overall.
So tell just briefly it's you guys.
Well, we've been
loser.
doing it. Yeah, we've been doing it for about 10 years. We all entered this.
Wait a minute. Donnie lost it so many times in a row, he quit.
I quit.
He just quit. The first time was funny. The second time he was mad. Third time he just threw his stuff down.
Jerry Jones may have to, take some advice from me. At some point in time, you just get tired of losing.
I have a feeling that they're like, when I walked into our orientation meeting or whatever you call it, they're like, oh, first time guy. You want in the Tattoo League? And I almost got beat. I'm glad to know that. I haven't checked tonight, so.
So Bob, you are the loser. Then.
Yeah, I'm the loser. And
now you have an option though.
Yeah, well, first of all, my wife's going to recheck and calculate in the morning, and I've got to call into Casey Jones right now because I want to see. But I've already got it figured. I'm going to have Bodacious foot on my butt right there.
All right.
Okay, not really. And if I do, I'm not big on tattoos. It's kind of against God's will to decorate your body. other than whatever. But if they do, I got a cross. I know where I'm going to put it. And a couple of little things to go with it.
But Donnie, you could pay a fine, right? You could pay or get a tattoo.
You can pay the fine, and it was $1,500, and I paid the fine.
Yeah, well, they got it up now to $2,000, and my choice of charities.
My.
Yeah.
You're gonna put Bodacious on your butt?
Yeah.
Does that mean you're gonna tell somebody you rode him?
No.
Is Donnie going to be on his back?
My choice of charities is, well, I have one right here with Boyd Gaming, with the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund that we raised the money for the other day in our Raceways charity for children in Vegas. And we're doing pretty good with that. But I've raised $2.2 million for MD Anderson Pediatrics Cancer Research in Houston.
Yep.
And so if I pay the money, but here's the deal. I know where I'm going to put the cross. You know where I'm going to put it. And a couple other little things. I got 8X, I got 8X, I got 10X. So I think I'll just stick 11X under it in a proverb and leave it at that. And
just write the check.
Yeah.
Come on, Bob.
Now, Bob, okay, so let's move on before we're done.
It's going to
here.
be small.
This is all of Bob's. He's in the jerky business.
He is the only guy that I know can make beef jerky and
Those
sell
are
it back to
samples
cows.
for everybody. Abe's got his cookies here.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell
And
you,
know
like I
what?
told
They're
him, these aren't samples.
They're little bitty Donnie Gay-sized cookies. Little bitty ones, about the size of $1. And
Donnie will give all those away. Go ahead, Donnie.
yeah. Yeah, and they're good.
So this is just give me a 30-second commercial for your jerky. 30 seconds.
Well, BobbyTeesJerky.com and just leave it at that. We're blessed to get to do this. My bullfighters, I keep it in my bullfighters. They wouldn't let me in the room the other day. But it's high in protein, low in carbs, gluten-free, no MSG. And you can go to BobbyTeesJerky.com and Boot Barn stores and grocery stores all over Texas.
All
But
right, perfect.
the deal is, you got to understand, and you never, ever let me do this. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in the show that draws the people that come to see Joe, Donnie, and Dan, and we all get to be guests. And I want you to give these three men the hand for Boyd Gaming for what you do.
Thank you.
Bob.
I traded some beef jerky for some of those cowboy
For
cookies.
Cody Webster right here. For Evan Allard right here. John Harrison, Dusty Tuckness, Donnie Gay, Joe Beaver.
Thank y'all for your time so much coming out
Thank
here
you
on
so much.
Saturday night. And y'all did a great job.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys stay right here, we have prizes to give away, and we'll do that after we say goodbye to the folks on the Cowboy Channel. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Thanks, all you guys. Thank you so much.